The top 5. We are here at the cream of the crop, or perhaps more accurately, the bottom of the barrel. Number 6 in our countdown of the Super Bowl era's most disappointing teams was the 1976 Buffalo Bills. We will reveal number 5 momentarily, but first, let's quickly talk about C-Score, this channel's metric for properly and thoroughly evaluating every team of the entire Super Bowl era instead of just looking at its record. For a deeper explanation about how C-Score works, be sure to check out the description of this video. To make it onto this list at all, let alone all the way into the top 5, a team must put together a positive C-score in one season before following that up with an elevated C-score the next season that goes above 15. After that, the team will register a negative C-score, with this one serving as the disappointment. The larger the drop from season 2 to season 3, the higher that disappointment will rank. Knowing a disappointment is coming might lessen the blow ever so slightly when it eventually arrives, but it stings nonetheless. After several years of close but no dice, the 1994 Houston Oilers told the world that they would stink. And yeah, that's exactly what they did. Thank you for joining us today. Doing the whole YouTube thing is so very easy. Like, share, subscribe, and ding that bell to be notified about all future videos. Let's get this thing started. Despite the infamy attached to this season, and believe me, we will get to that, the Houston Oilers were pretty darn good in 1992. 10-6, point differential near 100 points, and top 10 finishes in both points scored and points allowed, adding up to a C-score of 14.147. Those 6 losses, 5 by a single possession and none by more than 10 points, were a problem though. More specifically, being swept by the Pittsburgh Steelers by a total of 6 points was a problem. That left Pittsburgh at 11-5, not only winning the AFC Central, but landing the number 1 seed in a less than stellar AFC. A difference of 1 game in the standings shunted the Oilers all the way down to the number 5 seed and a trip to Buffalo for the wild card round. I think most of us will know what happened next. Houston took a 28-3 halftime lead, extended that lead to 35-3, then blew that 32-point lead and lost 41-38. For nearly 30 years, this stood as the largest blown lead in NFL history. It remains the largest blown lead in playoffs history. And what's worse is that had the Oilers won this game, there was every chance that they could make a run to the Super Bowl. Buffalo certainly did. This was their 6th consecutive season in the playoffs, 5 of which came through the wild card, but they had yet to even make it to the AFC Championship game. It begged the question, could a more wide-open offense really work in the postseason during this era of the NFL? It proved capable of winning a lot of games, but could it win championships? 1993 would be the last chance to answer that question, one way or the other. Regular season mission accomplished. The Oilers were stellar in 1993, pairing the 4th highest scoring offense with the 4th stingiest scoring defense to go 12-4 with a plus 130 point differential. Only an easier schedule kept the C-score from even further heights, eventually landing at 19.537. It isn't often that the hiring of an assistant coach gets a lot of attention. Except maybe when that man is Buddy Ryan. In a sense though, Ryan was brought in as the head coach, specifically of the defense. Ryan wasn't so much a fan of the Oilers' run-and-shoot offense, which he called the Chuck and Duck, something I found hilarious 32 years ago, and still find hilarious today. He did not get along with offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride either, both from a professional and a personal standpoint. So naturally, during a nationally televised game, Buddy took a literal swing at Gilbride on the sideline. and had Gillibride not lost his balance, and had players not immediately gotten between them, then two old dudes that were presumably on the same side were gonna throw down like they were Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. This during a long winning streak for the Oilers. Did I forget to mention that they started the season 1-4? Yes, I think I did. Believe it or not, these Oilers actually played this season on top of all the other drama. Seemingly still hungover from the Buffalo game, Houston looked cooked when Buffalo beat them again, this time 35-7. But they came on with an 11-game winning streak to end things at 12-4. That won the AFC Central and gave the franchise its first ever first-round bye as the AFC's number 2 seed. With as good a shot as ever to finally make it to the AFC Championship game, they instead lost at home to the Kansas City Chiefs alongside this iconic Keith Cash touchdown celebration. Keep in mind that Houston beat KC 30-0 during the regular season. Buddy Ryan and Kevin Gillibride wasn't the only drama surrounding this team. There was David Williams and Babygate. There was the tragic Jeff Alm situation. Then there was the proclamation from owner Bud Adams before the season regarding what the Oilers might look like in 1994 if they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. And he didn't paint a pretty picture. It turns out he wasn't bluffing. Like a stolen car being stripped for parts, the 1994 Houston Oilers roster was picked dry, and most of what was left behind wasn't worth the salvage. They sunk like a stone from 12-4 to 2-14. Their point differential was almost the exact opposite, from plus 130 to minus 126. And with the run and shoot gone, they were the lowest scoring team in the league. Saved somewhat by their schedule and other factors, their C-score wasn't too terrible, but still very bad at negative 21.283. So what did Bud Adams say about the 1993 Houston Oilers? In so many words, under the threat of the impending salary cap and the team's propensity for performing well enough to make it to the playoffs, but never performing well enough in the playoffs, that if they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, then he was blowing up the team. This is an incomplete list of players from the 1993 squad that weren't around in 1994. Cornerback Tony Brown, gone to the Seahawks. Guard Doug Dawson, gone to the Browns. Wide receiver Curtis Duncan, not retained and subsequently retired. Defensive end William Fuller, gone to the Eagles. Defensive end Sean Jones, gone to the Packers. Linebacker Wilbur Marshall, gone to the Cardinals. First team All-Pro punter Greg Montgomery, gone to the Lions. Quarterback Warren Moon, gone to the Vikings. Guard Mike Munchak, retired. Defensive tackle Lee Williams, released and subsequently retired. In total, 21 different players, combining for 191 games played and 103 starts from 1993, were not back for 1994. Someone else who wasn't back? Buddy Ryan, who after an objectively successful stint as the defensive coordinator, was given one last shot at head coaching glory with the newly named Arizona Cardinals. Best friend Kevin Gillibride did not join the Cardinals staff with Ryan, and he also did not survive the season as offensive coordinator, getting fired alongside head coach Jack Pardee after a 1-9 start. Cody Carlson, the NFL's highest paid backup quarterback, was supposed to lead the way. Instead, he only started 5 games, didn't play all that well, got injured, then never played in the NFL ever again. The Oilers gave it an honest go of things in 1994 though. 8 of their losses, more than half, were by a single possession, including 6 by exactly 3 points, one of those in overtime and a whole nother one by 2 points. 7 losses by a combined 20 points. That's rough. 4 of those 3-point losses came in consecutive games during the middle of the season. Still, the goal is to win games, and this team only won 2. To make things worse, finishing with the league's worst record only landed them the number 3 pick in the draft as the NFL added 2 expansion teams in 1995. They did show enough that interim head coach Jeff Fisher was kept in the job, which he went on to hold for 16 full seasons. Anyone could have seen this disappointment coming from a mile away, but it was still endured, and it remains long in the memory well of sadness. This was a close call between number 6 and 5, with the 1994 Oilers taking their spot with a disappointment score of negative 40.82. Only the Fab Four remain. Who might the next team be, and just how much further will these disappointment scores rank? Be sure to join us for the release of that video to find out who it's gonna be. With his arrival as the interim coach in 1994, Jeff Fisher is officially involved with all 4 entries on this countdown from the Oilers/Titans franchise. This was the beginning of the end for the Oilers. They weren't bad over the next couple of seasons, but the damage of that 1993 season and the acrimony between Bud Adams and the city of Houston had rotted out beyond repair. One can argue that the playoff loss to the Chiefs in 1993 killed football in Houston until the arrival of the Texans. Certainly nothing that happened in 1994 could turn that around, adding a unique layer to this disappointment. Let me know what your thoughts are on this Oilers team, or of any memories you may have had of the Houston Oilers before they became the Tennessee Titans. Got something else on your mind? Sound off on that or anything else down in the comments section below. Thank you once again for taking some time with us today, and until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.